Hi, everyone. Welcome to the preview show delivered by FedEx. I'm Marty Snider from NBC Sports. This guy, Chris Rice from Colleague Racing, and also the man, along with his driver, Brian Truex, who almost won the Xfinity race at Daytona. Congratulations.
Thank
nice
you.
Run.
Daytona was awesome for everybody. What an awesome race. I loved it.
And it was a terrific Daytona 500. Austin Dillon with a big win. 20 years after Dale Earnhardt wins the Daytona 500 finally, and 17 years to the day after Dale Earnhardt passed away. But I want to talk about Austin's day. To you, as a crew chief, what was the most impressive part about how he won the Daytona 500?
How he listened to his team, okay? I like the way Justin Alexander and everyone went into that race with a plan, and Austin listened. He didn't bug the plan. He rode around at the back. He done the things he needed to do. He only made one mistake, in my opinion, when he pitted with the Fords, and he thought everybody was going to pit. He didn't. Maybe that got him the win. I'm not really sure, but he listened.
Kept him out of the wreck,
right? It kept him out of the wreck, but he listened to his team. He agreed that, okay, this is what we're going to do, and he stuck with it.
And they didn't panic at that moment either when they kind of pitted off sequence with everybody else. All right, the big talk of the end of the race is his move on Eric Almirola. Fair or not?
Absolutely fair. We're coming to the checkers. It's the Daytona 500, everyone. I've said it over and over. I said it throughout the entire race. The blocking was going to get you wrecked. And Eric was doing what he needed to do to go on to win the race. And Austin was doing what he needed to do to go on to win the race. And it cost Eric a race car, also cost him the Daytona 500, which in return, everybody is controversy. And that's what we like about it. I believe I would have done the same thing if I was Austin Dillon, and it was fair.
It is the Daytona 500, so a lot on the line there. So Austin Dillon winds up winning the race. The man who finishes second, Bubba Wallace. What an incredible run, really all weekend and all of Speedweeks for Bubba at Daytona. Is that a sign of things to come for the 43 theme, you think?
Well, I hope so, but let's talk about it. Daytona is a different breed, okay? It is totally different than any other racetrack. We're going to go to a 1.5 mile racetrack at Atlanta. We watched Bubba run at Vegas in the test over the winter, so I'm telling you, I feel that they're going to have some momentum going into Atlanta. They got to get their cars where they need to be for Bubba to be able to run the entire race, because the Cup race is a lot longer than the Xfinity race, so he's got to learn how to do that. I hope it's what we're going to see and things like that, but I'm telling you, it's going to be tough for Bubba to keep up the momentum after Daytona.
So you're saying the true test for the 43 kind of begins now for the rest of the season?
Absolutely. I talked to Felipe Lopez on Monday, and that's exactly what he said.
All right, so you mentioned Atlanta, the not repaved racetrack. It's a rough racetrack at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So what are the challenges of that 1.5 mile racetrack?
Well, the bumps and no grip. That's a big challenge. You know, we see race cars slide all around at Atlanta. They have no grip, so you have to lift a lot. Side-by-side passing. They don't run side-by-side a lot. You see the top side of 1 and 2 come in and the bottom of 3 and 4. Where do you need to run at the end of the race? And Kevin Harvick seems to always figure it out. That's what the challenge is. Where do you need to run on the no grip of Atlanta? And it's going to be hot this weekend, which is going to be another challenge that we hadn't seen in many years.
Expect beautiful weather in Atlanta this weekend. So we always talk about how you have to have a certain style to run well at Martinsville or road courses. Where does Atlanta kind of fit in that category? Do you have to have a certain style to be able to run that racetrack?
Absolutely, and I'm telling you, it's something like California now. California hadn't been paved. It's really bumpy. It's its own style racetrack. You can't take the setup that you take to Atlanta and take it to Charlotte or take it to Texas. Any other 1.5 miles, you cannot use that setup or that driving style. I feel like California is one of the closest places you can, and that's early on in the season. So I think who runs well at Atlanta will run well at California. You can almost put them on your fantasy right now.
Speaking of NASCAR Fantasy Live, it's time for us to make our picks for this weekend. Who are you going to go with at Atlanta?
Everybody thinks I'm going with Kevin Harvick, right? I'm not going with Kevin Harvick, everyone. I'm going with Kyle Larson. I feel Kyle Larson, I have no reason to believe this other than I feel this is his year. He's going to run well everywhere he goes. He's going to look like Martin Truex did last year. He's going to win a lot of stages, and he's going to learn how to close these races each and every weekend, which is huge.
So you left the door open for me to take Harvick, huh?
Absolutely. You can have it.
Man, I'll take the Atlanta Master. Sure, Kevin Harvick loves this racetrack. He has this racetrack pinned down maybe better than anybody else. And even when they struggled early in the season last year with the Ford body and sort of the balance of that race car, remember, he dominated this race at Atlanta, so I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick this weekend. Thanks for letting me have him.
He is the king at Atlanta, but I'm telling you, Kyle Larson's going to outrun him.
All right, make sure you check out NASCAR.com all weekend long. Live leaderboards, all the in-car audio you want, news, updates before and after the Atlanta race as we kick off the 2018 season. It's the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500. It's on Fox, February 25th, 2 p.m. Eastern. That's this Sunday. We'll see you next week.